Okay, good morning. Welcome to Homework Help number 1. This is just a short little video about a physics problem that a friend of mine put on Facebook that his daughter had from the second day of school out in California. And the question is, a roof tile is dropped from some height and falls to the ground. A woman inside the building notices that it takes 0.2 seconds for the roof tile to fall past her window, and that window is 1.6 meters tall. So the question posed in the problem is, how high above the window did that roof tile fall from? And I think the point of this problem is you've got two equations which presumably were given to the students. The velocity of something falling equals the initial velocity plus acceleration times time, and the distance something falls is given by the initial velocity times time plus a component of the acceleration, 1/2 at squared. And what we have to do is we have to bounce back and forth between these two equations to solve this problem. So I think it's just teaching the students about what do the equations mean, when can you use them, how do they apply. So the first equation we're going to apply is this one. The distance falling, 1.6, equals the initial velocity times time, 0.2, plus 1/2 times 9.8 times time squared, which is 0.2 squared. And solving this equation is going to tell us what the initial velocity is. And by initial velocity here, I mean when it came to the top of the window. And so we can multiply all of this out, and you get the initial velocity is 7.02 meters per second. And you can think about it for a second. Does that make sense? Something going 7 meters per second in 0.2 seconds would travel a distance of 1.6 meters. Well, 7 meters a second for 0.2 seconds without accelerating would go 1.4 meters, 0.2 times 7. And since it's accelerating, I guess it does make sense that it could go 1.6 meters. So that hopefully makes sense in the context of the problem, that it's going 7 meters per second when it's there. Now, we've got to figure out how high this was. So the first question we're going to ask is, how long does it take to reach 7 meters a second? Well, our velocity, 7.02, equals the initial velocity from when it was dropped, which is 0. It's not, when you just let go of it, it's not going any speed at all. So 9.8 times time. So in effect, we're dividing by 10, so we expect it to be about 0.7 seconds, and when you do the math, it's 0.716 seconds equals time. And again, this makes sense. If you drop something from rest, it's going, the velocity is given by acceleration times time, or 9.8 times time. So if it goes for 1 second, it's going 9.8 meters per second. Okay, so since it's going 7 meters per second, it must be falling for less than a second. So 0.716. And now we need to figure out the distance. And again, now we go back to our distance equation. So our distance equation says the distance we're trying to find equals the initial velocity times time. The initial velocity is dropped, so it's 0. So plus 1/2 times 9.8 times the time squared, which we said was 0.716 squared. And so the distance it falls is about 2.5 meters. You do this math. Okay, so it fell 2.5 meters before it got to the window, and then it takes 0.2 seconds to go through the window. When we, in the first two steps, it seemed to make sense. Here, I think it's a little bit harder to have a intuition about this, especially on the second day of class. When you fall for 0.7 seconds, you go 2.5 meters. Well, it's a good thing we didn't get 25 meters or 250 meters or 0.2 meters or something. You're falling for almost a second. How far do you fall? Well, okay, so for 0.7 seconds, you fall 2.5 meters. I guess that makes sense. Anyway, that's the answer. That's working through the problem. And I think just bouncing back and forth between those two equations is sort of the point of the problem. Okay, thanks for watching.